Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast Network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
May I have your attention?
Apple fans of Australia!
It's episode 12 of Apple Slice. Join myself, Simon, and special guest Cody as we get sticker slappy and emoji happy with iMessage and much more in iOS 10. We also get a gander at the iPhone 7 and Apple Watch 2, then burrow it down on the removal of the 3.5mm jack.
They removed the freaking headphone jack?
Yes, they did. Plus, get Illustrator insights and a flip load more in a crisp and incredible Apple Slice. Well, hello everyone. Something has changed. This episode is the first time without my co-host Nick. I'm a little scared, to be honest. So, yes, Nick is currently relocating to Sydney after having spent the past few weeks in South Africa. So we can expect Nick back on deck in the next episode. But am I flying solo in this one? Heck no. I have a special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce my good friend and top-notch illustrator, Cody. Hey man, how's it going?
Yeah, not too bad, man.
Yeah, cool. So you're kind of ready to talk some Apple?
Yes. Probably not at the level you guys normally talk at, but
that's all right.
I'll give it a go.
Yeah, I think the cool thing is, for the listeners, is that Cody, I would say, is more of a regular Apple user and a fan rather than like a sort of obsessor such as myself or Nick. Would you think that's kind of fair to say?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
I love the product. I don't always love what everything they do, if you know what I mean.
But that's cool because then it gives like a realistic perspective, of people that aren't complete elitists.
Yeah.
So yeah. Now before we get into that, small announcement: Apple Slice is now on Instagram, so we're getting our Instagram game on. You can find us with the handle Apple Slice Podcast. Keeping it simple. Just another way you can keep up with the stuff we put out. In addition to the podcast, I sort of take various photos of things, whether it's the podcast setup or I recently went to a couple of Apple stores in Perth, took some shots there. So, just little tidbits here and there, but that's kind of what Instagram's about. Now, we're going to start it off with product perception, which is our regular segment in most episodes. That's what we start off with. iOS 10 finally came out. Now, Nick had been using the beta, so he's definitely had the experience with it, although he only had an iPhone 6, so he hasn't had to use the enhanced 3D touch features and stuff like that. But both Cody and I have a iPhone 6S. Now, what I want to do is run through just some pros and cons, favorite features, what you don't like, what you're trying to get used to. Now, there are many features in iOS 10, but it'll probably take a whole episode to get through them all. So I'm only going to talk about some that I've really taken to. Now, I'm just going to kind of list off some, and then Cody will get into what he likes about it. Mm-hmm. Now, first off, I love the user interface changes. So such as the translucent white notifications and widgets with what was previously darker. The redesigned control center. So you've got colored toggles for the Wi-Fi, airplane mode, and they've sort of used colors that are kind of relative to their function. So, Wi-Fi and that is standard. So they give it blue. Do not disturb is kind of purple, representing sort of nighttime and that sort of thing. So they're just taking all this sort of stuff into consideration with, how a color can reflect a mood, a time, and that sort of thing. It's subtle things, but it's something that I like. The rounded corners and as a bit of a margin for the notifications and the widgets, and when you pull up from the bottom with control center. So previously that was kind of edge to edge, but now it's sort of sitting as its own little box just in from the edge. This applies to the share sheet as well. When you click the share icon to send a message or share it to Facebook and that sort of thing. Raise to wake. Now this is exclusive to 6S. I'm not sure if you knew that, Cody.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's more because of the actual motion coprocessor in the 6S that the 6 doesn't have. Now, this, I like showing people this because I just like the tech behind it. It's something that they've had in Apple Watch since the start, so there's it's a bit of a crossover. Now, I really like the fact that's there, the fact you can turn it off if you want. It does work pretty well, but currently I actually turn it off at nighttime because it's sort of become if I'm just quickly trying to just lift up my phone.
You turn that on and off, the raise to wake?
Yeah, well, currently for nighttime, it's just it's a bit more of you're just kind of fumbling around and suddenly your phone's sort of on. Yeah. So what I suggest to Apple, because, Apple are completely listening to our podcast every time, is a toggle for raise to wake that can be tied in with do not disturb. So I have do not disturb on a schedule. So my phone goes into do not disturb mode. Like
and
9
so you
p.m.
set
at
it
night.
when you actually want it to enable it.
Yeah, and that would be cool because it's just another factor of the whole nighttime routine. Mm-hmm. And I love the fact that they've included more of 3D touch. I don't know how much you use 3D touch at the moment anyway. I showed this to you with when you kind of 3D touch on an icon and it gives you some quick actions and that sort of thing that pop up from it.
Yeah.
So because that was a big feature of 6S, it was cool, but it sort of felt like, am I really going to be using it that often or not? And so they've kind of put more of a push onto 3D touch with having instant pop-up widgets. So say you 3D touch on the weather and it pops up with a widget at the top. So you're kind of getting that bit of information without opening up the actual weather app, and there you can actually add that widget to your to your widget section when you slide over from the left. So that's pretty cool. They've also done other things with 3D touch, such as if you do it on some of the control center options. So if you 3D touch on the flashlight, it actually gives you the option to have low, medium, and high strength flashlight.
Okay.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
There's a bunch of stuff you're actually listing off now that I didn't know. I sort of had a quick read before.
That.
What's that, sorry?
I was hoping that would happen.
Yeah, I was reading some before because when they do these updates, they really don't tell you what you're actually gaining a lot of the time. You do have to do the research.
They have the tips app that is always there, and it takes you through a few things. But I find the best thing to do is just to go to, with a new iOS release, is to go to the actual page on the Apple site. It shows you everything.
I tend to wait until I just go to your house and then you show me all the cool stuff.
Now, I want to talk about iMessage because it's a big one, but before I start rambling on too much, is there anything other than iMessage that you like about iOS 10?
Yeah, well, iMessage is one of the main ones I was going to say as well. One that when I did look up the list that I thought was sweet. Again, a lot of the things you've said, like the 3D touch, I love the idea of it, but I haven't got into a habit at all of using it. Like, to be honest, I pretty well never use it. I like it, and I show other people that you can do it, but I don't personally use it.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because it's not a habit. You've got to get in a habit with a lot of these things for them to work well in your favour, sort of thing. Yeah,
other things that are really handy is you can actually quickly rename a folder by 3D touching the folder. That's really handy.
Okay, yeah.
So things like that, or if you have apps within a folder and one of the apps has a notification on it, that would appear in the little app icon, rather than having to open the folder and then find the app, you actually 3D touch on it, and in the list that drops down is that app. Yeah, so it gives you just sort of, it's like saving you one or two steps sort of thing.
Yeah, okay.
Which is pretty cool. Yeah, but anyway, I'll let you continue.
So, one of them was the one you actually showed me in sort of preparation for this, was the shared notes. That's, again, I don't use the iCloud, but the shared notes where you can have a combined note when one of yours doesn't update, it obviously updates on the other person's as well. That's awesome. So that is new, is it, to this?
Yeah, shared notes, and it it syncs across with if you update your Mac to macOS Sierra, which also just recently came out. Shared Notes is across the board with that as well.
That's cool.
Yeah.
At first, I didn't know how often I'd use something like that, but in like say me and my wife, for example, now she's got the 7, like a shopping list rather than having to write one on the fridge.
Yeah.
That's a sweet idea because then if you're not even getting all the items, it's just you can just take off the items you have got, things like that.
Have you ever used the Reminders app as a shopping list?
No, I haven't, because we still just write it down. I take a photo, and that's pretty well as far as I go.
The Reminders app is awesome because they had that functionality. Well, they still do, but it was available previously. So I have
share amongst people.
Yeah. So what you do, but the only difference with the Reminders app is the person that you're sharing it with has to be part of your iCloud family. Like you've got to add them as a member sort of thing.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, which is easy to do, but it's cool though because my wife and myself are both working on a list together. So she's like, I've added the stuff, can you add anything else?
Yeah,
and then
even if
she's heading to the shops, I'm like, oh crap, I forgot, cereal or whatever, and I chuck that on there.
Yeah.
There are some slight sync issues with it in the sense that when you first open it up, it doesn't appear updated, and then when you go to add an item, then it sort of adds in what the other person put in. So
is that with the notes or the old one?
With Reminders, yeah.
Oh, with Reminders, yeah, okay.
Yeah, but with notes, I tested it out with you. This was a first time thing.
Yeah.
There was some teething issues in the sense that you didn't actually have notes kind of set up. But I
don't normally use the cloud. I had the cloud pretty well turned off.
Yeah, and that's how it sort of it all integrates and syncs with each other. I tried it out with a colleague, and that he had to just do a iCloud backup with his notes first to kind of get it to work. But then after that, we were literally standing next to each other working on the same note. And then when he was adding stuff in, it popped up and it kind of highlighted itself in yellow, and the yellow fades out. And it's sort of probably like a 5-second delay, but it was still cool. And we were drawing little pictures, and then that was appearing and that sort of thing. So anyway, I'm glad that you like that. So
yeah, that was sweet. One other thing that I liked, again, I don't know how often I'd use it, but I just thought it was sweet, and they don't really point it out, was it now has like a magnifying glass option. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah, yep.
Because you have to actually go and turn that one on. They don't turn that on. So you have to go into the settings, turn it on, and then it's like a triple click, and it actually zooms in really far.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
I was just trying on sort of like food labels and stuff at work, and you can zoom right into that tiny text. You've got to sit the phone sort of on a table, otherwise it's too shaky. But
yeah, that is pretty cool, and it is something that they didn't sort of quite talk about, straight away. It's a bit more of a hidden feature. Yeah,
a bit of an Easter egg.
Yeah.
I have got a few things. I've written 2 things I don't like. I don't know if you're doing a cons sort of list or.
I am, but just before we get into that, wanted to run through iMessage because that's the big one.
Yeah. Oh, one other quick thing that I did like, because they've done the whole the way it unlocks and you do the swipe to the camera. I don't know if you're going to come back to that sort of thing.
Yep.
One cool thing in that is that when you do swipe to the camera, so if your phone's still locked, you swipe to the camera, and then once you back out of your camera, it keeps the phone locked. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, I mean that's.
It didn't used to do that, I don't think, did it?
No, it kept it allowed you to when the camera was an icon in the bottom right, you could flick that up, open the camera, take pictures, but then it would.
I'm sure when you backed out, it would just take you to your main front page, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it should have still been locked, but because
maybe it did. Maybe I just didn't notice.
Because I used Touch ID, it kept just unlocking itself. Sort of thing.
Okay, yeah.
And just before we get into iMessage, contextual predictions. Don't know if you saw that. So basically, when you're typing, I was typing, a message to someone. You want to send a number to someone, and so I could be typing a message to you. And I'll be like, "Oh yeah, my number is," and then in the little, suggestions above your keyboard, where there's usually sort of 3 words, it actually puts in Simon Blackburn and gives you the option to choose one of my numbers.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, or like
I did see it does that as well. If I sent some to you, do you have Tom's number? If you have any contacts named Tom, I think it puts them there as well, doesn't it? And you can just choose one.
It's just so much handier than going to a contact and either copying a number or having to share the contact.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I haven't used it, but when I saw that is a wicked feature. That's great.
It also works for if someone goes, oh, hey, do you want to meet up? And you go, yeah, I'm free at, and then it'll find all the free spots, the next, few free spots in your calendar.
No way. Yeah, that's cool.
That's pretty sweet. So, iMessage, the big one. Now, I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would. So I was initially hesitant when I saw the keynote presentation, because I kind of thought that all these stickers and all these animations would kind of ruin the cleanliness that iMessage had,
Yeah.
But I actually think it's executed pretty well. Sticker packs are cool. I'm a big fan of the fact that there's like high quality illustrations in there, and the animations are cool. Now I got the Super Mario one. They're great. It's Mario. It's awesome. There's a really cool one called WWF Origami. So it's like the Worldwide Foundation. So it has little origami like pandas and crocodiles and stuff, and they actually animate themselves. So it's like a piece of paper animates itself into the animal, like origami style.
That's nice. Yeah. That's nice.
Yeah. Now the best bit about this is, Nick and myself are a big fan of 9 to 5 Mac. And the two guys that run the podcast over there, they each created their own sticker pack. So one guy created one called Monster Emoji. So it's like a monster emoji sort of thing. And so what he did was he got his illustrator friend to create these monsters. It's kind of like Adventure Time style.
Yeah, cool, yeah.
And then he put that up and put it there in the iMessage app store for $1.50. Yep. And it's just cool. It's nothing. It's there's nothing super special about it apart from the fact that it's just a cool art style, and it's something different to choose from.
And do they give you many? Like, because I haven't bought any. I've only just got one free one, just again to at least see what they do.
It's basically up to the person that creates the pack. So I'm guessing if a sticker pack has more in it, people are more likely going to buy it.
Yeah. But so, like for their one, for example, do they give you many?
It had 12,
okay.
which is decent because the Mario one's got the same. It's got 12, whereas some of them have got like that, that Wallace and Gromit, the Aardman one with the mouse that I showed you. That had that had heaps, but the best bit I like about this is straight away I sort of saw the sticker packs and I saw the kind of like the wacky illustration. I was just like, oh man, Cody should get onto this.
I wouldn't mind after you showed me that.
It as long as you have high enough, resolution illustrations, it sounds like mainly the longest part of it is just the kind of like paperwork you got to fill out because it's like a developer submitting an app and that sort of thing. But once that's done, it's actually seems to be relatively straightforward.
Yeah. So it's one of those things like the mouths that you showed me. That I love that Aardman one because I can see the use for the stickers where if someone sends a photo or whatever, you can sort of graffiti it essentially.
Yeah.
Or you send one, do the same. Some of the ones where they're just pictures and stuff, like I love the idea and I love how you can put it sort of wherever you want. There's no sort of restrictions, or it doesn't seem like there is, but I don't know how often I'd use them. Again, it's a cool thing. I don't want them to take it out because it's sort of, if it affects nothing, it's just cool, but I don't know when I'd use them as much. I don't know. Have you been using them a lot? Or do you think you will keep using them?
Well, I think straight off the bat when it came out, I was using them a lot because I wanted to just kind of test it out.
Yeah. And it works smoothly, like it's...
Yeah, it's great. The sort of peel up animation that happens to it. A small con on about it though is that I want to be able to reposition them. It's like once you stick it to a message, it's stuck there. That's the only...
I was going to ask you that question because if you do stick like funny eyes on a face or whatever... Is that stuck there now? Can you not move them?
It seems to be, but I'd imagine they could just release a small software update to allow that. I hope they do,
because I think that would be more useful, especially with the funny faces ones. It's sort of, you might not do it because you're like, well, I don't want to wreck it.
yeah, definitely. And so that I definitely want to get into. So I can talk to you about that after the podcast.
Definitely, yeah, I am keen on that.
Yeah, I definitely want to make a apple-sized one. Like it might not necessarily be pictures of apple slices, but it'll be one on like as apple slice as the developer.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm thinking something pun based because I love good puns. So now the tap to replace emoji that I showed you. You kind of like writing words and that is awesome. I reckon. Like it's just you write your message out, you go to put an emoji in, and it highlights the words that could be an emoji could be used for.
Yeah.
I just reckon that tech itself. I mean, I know it's probably just based on word tags and stuff, but it's just a cool thing. Yeah.
It's one of those things, again, like a lot of these things, I've said it before, but a lot of these things I personally won't use, but it is one of those things that now when someone goes, oh, have you done the update? I'm like, oh yeah, check this out. And I show them that.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's such a cool, like, showy thing. For me, I still only use like your classic smiley face, winky face, not even using the emojis. I still put them in manually, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
But for my wife, for example, she'll send me a message and it'll have like 5 of them in it. So for someone like that, it's like
perfect,
such a wicked feature.
Well, what they're doing is by beefing up iMessage like this, they're really competing with the likes of Facebook Messenger and various other, like Google just released their newer messaging apps, which before iMessage was sort of revealed at WWDC, it was like, oh, look at, literally like the week or two before, it was like, oh, look at this, Google's put like gift search and everything all into their messaging app. This is crazy. And then like, 2 weeks later, it's like iMessage announcement, it's got all these features, and it's like, I don't even want to bother checking out the Google one because...
oh, exactly. Yeah. Like you haven't mentioned, like just then you mentioned the GIFs. The GIFs is the best part. For me, that is the best thing they've done because I love using the GIFs. Yeah,
and did you see how there's an actual, like, there's their one, that hashtag images one, but there's an actual Giphy iMessage app that you can install as well, like if you use Giphy. Awesome. Yeah, so the thing is that the iMessage app store isn't just limited to sticker packs. There's like mini games and all this other stuff. So there's like one where there's like a chess game and you do your move and then they do their move and that sort of thing.
I haven't tried that out.
It's pretty cool. So definitely a lot of potential with that. Mm-hmm. The tap back quick responses, quick double tap and you can choose your little ha-ha or thumbs up.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's cool. I like the little animation.
Again, it's just bringing it it's almost trying to combine the way it works, say, with like Instagrams and everything. They're just they've sort of brought everything into their messenger now. Yeah,
exactly. So, but I think they've pulled it off well.
Yeah, they have, yeah.
Yeah, the screen...
Even the animation when you do it, when it shows to the person, it doesn't just show up. It's nice.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's not like some... just like one frame it's there and one frame, it is sort of thing. Like screen effects animations are really smooth, like the balloons and the fireworks and stuff. Mm-hmm. Now, originally I thought, this is going to be tacky because I don't want like, full fireworks everywhere and stuff. But they've done it really well because it doesn't overstay its welcome. It animates. No, it
sort of just does it. Yeah, they're good. They've nailed Messenger. They have.
Yeah, it has worked really well. I did think the whole idea for those ones is it's for something that's really important, like a birthday or a baby announcement or whatever. So I initially was using them all the time just because I was like, oh, cool. But I've actually since then, I've probably only used it a couple of times because turn it back.
The fine china, saving them for the right moment now.
The slam, shout, whisper, and invisible ink. That's cool. I'm yet to use whisper. I'm waiting for one of those conversations where you just want to say something quietly or whatever. or
I actually don't know how to do that yet, so I have to...
Yeah. Well, when you go to send the message, you 3D touch on the actual up arrow, and then it comes up with your...
okay.
Yeah, yep. So they're cool. Invisible ink they showed in the demo.
So how does that one work? What do you have to?
Yeah. So what it is like you can apply it to a text or a picture. But say if you did something like you got engaged and here's the picture of the ring on your hand. You send the picture, and invisible ink is kind of like it almost looks like fairy dust, kind of like blurring and hiding the image. And you literally sort of like run your hand across it, and and it reveals itself.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's
it's permanently revealed, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think from memory, if you go out of the message and back into it, it does it again. It may only be a few times. Yeah. Because otherwise it might get annoying. But, that's just a cool thing. Cool. It's like, like, what's this sneaky little, what's behind here?
The Messenger is, like, I don't like it when, like, and Apple do it. I don't like it when they do force something on you and it's kind of like, this is it now. This is what you have to do. Yeah. The best thing about that Messenger is all these sweet features. You don't have to use any of them if you don't want.
Yeah, you can literally use Messenger.
You can still use Messenger how it was.
Yeah, or iMessage. iMessage. It's very easy to call it Messenger. I know what you mean. Though,
sorry, I've just written that there. So.
That's all right. Now, the handwritten messages, you turn your phone in landscape mode and you literally write on the screen like the handwriting style, and then it animates on the other person's end. That's cool.
Yeah, that does.
Like, because that pen style just looks really nice.
I feel like I need a pen to do that better. Just using my finger. I don't know. I'm not very good at it.
I mean, they do have the Apple Pencil. They don't have Apple Pencil support for iPhone yet, but I imagine that would be around the corner.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another cool thing. I
cool.
actually accidentally discovered that. I sort of turned the phone on into landscape, and then it appeared, like the big area to do the messaging.
It took me a while to discover that because you sent me one, and then I'm thinking, how did he do that in this tiny little square?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, that for me is what I love about iMessage. Any more to add to that?
Nah, that's pretty well it.
Yeah, I mean, there are other things like digital touch and that, but I think that those are the standouts for me. Now, cons. What? Just any sort of downwards effect there. Car crash. Like whatever. Yeah, and learning curves. So, obviously, the biggest learning curve is the slide to unlock is removed. Now, I know you were a big user of slide to unlock, like a lot of other people. What's your take on this?
That's my biggest downfall, is that I just... well, how long have I had this now? I'm not sure, but the update, what's it been? Probably a week? It's got to have been a week.
Yeah, a week or two, yeah.
It's still killing me. I'm slowly getting used to it. I had to turn the raise to wake off.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so glad I could turn that off, because my biggest issue is I'm just in such a habit that I'd pick my phone up to check the time, say. I'd pick it up, press it once, check it, and then press the lock button to turn it off again. So the problem with raise to wake is once you pick it up,
and you press it,
it
unlocks.
awakens, you press it and it unlocks.
Yeah.
And even though you might pick it up and press it quick, it's just that split second and it logs in. So then you can't see the clock. So now you've got to, it's now become such a mission for me to check the time just because I'm in that habit.
Yeah. I mean, my argument about this is that it's essentially they've made it easier by the fact that you don't have to slide across, they're sort of just making everything easy. But because slide to unlock has existed since the first iPhone, it's just absolutely built in to your hand. I mean, I don't know if it means people will their thumbs will become stronger by not having to slide over, or I don't know. But
I know my mother-in-law, she's got an iPhone 7 now, and she can't stand that. Like, it's enough that she wants to go back to her 6, and I'm sort of saying that's just the update. That's not the 7 that's doing that. You will have that on your old phone as well.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't know. But I do like the camera being a swipe. I almost just wish you could choose what the swipes did now. I wish you could say, I'd rather use that as an unlock, or I want that to be the camera, or because the quick apps on the side isn't too bad. How you swipe across, what way is that, to the right, I think.
Yes, yeah. If you're going from left to left to right rather than right to left, yeah.
And that's my other issue now. So I'll pick my phone up, I'll press the unlock, and then I'll swipe. It'll take me to those things. I'll go, oh no, and then I'll press it to back out, but then it logs me in.
Yeah.
It's just a learning curve.
It's crazy, yeah.
But it's kind of like every time you're like, every time.
Well, ever since they brought Touch ID out, I've been using Touch ID, and I just haven't been having to slide across. So it's just so natural for me.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, oh, what's all the deal? And then I realised, oh man, everyone has been sliding all this time. Sort of thing.
See, I've never used any of that.
Sliders.
My wife's just put the Touch ID on, but to be honest, it's actually a bit annoying because she'll be like, oh, can you quickly just check my phone or anything like that? And I can't.
Yeah, well, you can if you assign your thumb onto it.
Oh, can you? Can you set more?
Yeah, you can set like multiple fingers, thumbs, everything.
Yeah. I don't know. For us, I don't think it's in the right scenario where you're in like a business or something and you don't want people picking up your phone. And
yeah, that's fair enough.
But yeah. It's not a feature I'd want them to get rid of. It's just not one I use, sort of thing.
Yeah. So that's one of the big ones, the big learning curve. Now I have some. When I first installed iOS 10, it detected apps that I had installed that had a sticker pack or like another, iMessage app associated with it. So in this example, I had IMDb app, and there's an IMDb iMessage search app, which is cool because it pre-installed it for me, and it gave me the option to, whether I want to by default install an iMessage app if I install a main iPhone app. So it's cool. It gives you the option, but the app didn't want to open in iMessage, and so I had to delete the original full iPhone IMDb app and then reinstall IMDb, and then it worked. It was just a small little glitch. But yeah, at the start I was like, oh, cool, I'm going to use all these iMessage apps. And I'm like, why isn't IMDb opening, sort of thing. And that's the workaround for that. But yeah,
so mine didn't do that. I've got the IMDb app and it didn't give me a...
Have you done the recent mini software update?
No, did that come today?
Yeah, it came out the other day.
Yeah. No, I haven't actually.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, that's how you fix it if you get into that.
Yep.
And we talked about wanting to reposition stickers because that'll be good. I want to be able to put stickers to the very edge of a text bubble. So, like with the Mario head, it's cut off at like the neck and shoulders, and I want to be able to kind of like almost look like it's sitting on top of a text bubble, but you kind of have to hold the sticker in closer to the actual text itself for it to apply. Otherwise, it doesn't stick. Okay. Yeah.
See, I thought you could put them anywhere. I haven't used them very often.
Yeah, well, you can't put them just in the white space. It has to be stuck to a photo or a text or something.
See, then they definitely should be movable.
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah. So, but I reckon that a software update would fix that. The iMessage app store, when you actually go into it to add a new sticker pack or whatever, it's initially slow to load, but that's sort of usual with App Store in general. So I kind of like forgave it for that, but it'd be cool if it was just loaded quicker.
Yep.
The iMessage, I had all the effects going. I sent it to my wife's phone and she wasn't receiving the effects and the stickers just came up as a static image. And I was like, well, she's upgraded to iOS 10 too. I was like, what's going on? And she just had to turn iMessage off, then on, and then it worked. So that was a little...
okay.
I saw some people online saying I'm not getting the effects, and I told them I'd just turn it off and on real quick, and it works.
Those sort of bugs, they'll get fixed in.
Yeah, exactly.
In updates.
Now, I had the dark... If you're using an app with a dark background, such as iMovie on iPhone, it makes the coloured text in pop-up menus hard to read. So what I mean is iMovie is like real dark grey, kind of black. And if you use one of the pop-up menus from the bottom, which is naturally translucent white, that translucency makes the white like a mid-grey. And then the actual text options of that pop-up menu, some of them are in colour text like blue, and the mixture of the black turning the white to grey makes the blue hard to read. If you know what I mean. Yeah, it's sort of like the translucency part of where it's sitting on top of a dark background is actually kind of ruining the visibility. It's not that common because a lot of Apple apps are naturally lighter, but iMovie is dark. So I hope that they kind of do more of a inverse menu for that. So dark apps with dark colours have dark menus with like white text or something instead. That would be a good fix.
Yeah, see, I haven't noticed anything like that yet.
Just had rich notifications, so when you go to reply to like a message notification rather than opening iMessage, that works well, but sometimes I'll then send it and then unlock my phone and the keyboard would still be on the screen and then it would disappear, sort of stuck around for a little bit longer than it should have. Very small thing. The volume and the brightness sliders, when you slide up from the bottom.
Yep.
They're cool because, I mean, what I like is how they separated music into its own section. So that's cool. But the only problem with that is now every time I want to go adjust the volume or the brightness, if I don't quite catch the actual slider properly, it slides it over to the music controls.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you know what I mean, because it's like... Yeah. So
I haven't had that happen to me, actually.
What I think...
But I can see what you're saying.
Yeah, well, what I think is if they have if the touch area for that slider was greater to allow for error, if you know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, that would be cool. And on the lock screen, finally, the volume slider, the actual circle on the volume slider is pretty damn big. And that's cool from a functionality perspective, say if you're jogging and want to change the volume quick on your screen or if it's in a car mount, but it kind of just looks just really big. So
yeah, I haven't noticed. It's funny. I love that sort of stuff, but I haven't noticed.
Yeah, so that's the cons for me. Anything else for?
To To be honest, not really. I normally think I would, but
And this is what
it's
I
mainly
like.
just the race to weight that's just been driving me crazy. So unless that's just overshadowing other things for me,
yeah. I mean,
the unlock.
Generally, the good thing about this is iOS 10 came out, and there was actually a much higher percentage of people that were really happy with an up, because when there's a major update, people always complain about stuff, or like, oh, there's a bug here or whatever. I think iOS 10 has been one of the more successful updates that they've done.
And I don't quite often update them that often. Like, you definitely know that, because quite often you'd see me and I'm using like ancient like Aztec sort of stuff on my phone. But it's because I've noticed the bold font. I've heard you guys talk about that quite a bit.
Yeah, that was with in stuff like Apple Music and news and that sort of thing.
Yeah, like if you scroll across to your I don't know what they call it, like the menu that has sort of the quick apps and the news and stuff.
Oh yeah.
As far as to your left, like you've
notifications.
got the date and day there.
Yeah, all of those are your like widgets.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Is that the bold font that you're talking about?
If you go to do you have the news there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what it says, top stories?
Yeah, I see.
Yeah. Like, that's
I
like,
don't know if I like that. Because you liked it, didn't you? And
yeah, okay. So here's the thing. I like it when there's contrast. So I know that you don't use Apple Music, but if you open up the section that says for you, it's like big, like the words for you are big and they're bold. And previously everything was light and stuff, but what I like about Apple Music is they create this real contrast. It's kind of the heavy fonts remind me of something you'd see in a like higher class magazine or like a fashion magazine where they use like real strong type. That's what I like. But the only thing I don't like about Apple News on that front is they've kind of overused the heaviness. So
it's almost hard to read because everything's so heavy.
Yeah, or like the actual article titles themselves are the condensed version, and I generally don't really like condensed fonts.
Yeah, okay.
So I'd rather that be like standard San Francisco in a lighter weight.
But it doesn't bother me that much, to be honest. It's not like a thing that...
It's more like a newspaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I sort of see it. So, yeah, that's...
one other quick plus, I just remembered it then, it's only a real quick one, is... Again, I haven't tried this yet, but I read about it, is that now you can edit live photos and they can stay live.
Yes. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool, yeah.
Because that used to be a bit of a pain.
Live photos is a classic. It's particularly for both of us being parents. You just capture those moments. So that's pretty cool. And before we move on completely to iPhone 7 and Apple Watch 2, is there an iOS feature that you want to see? Is there something that you sort of think, I wish my iPhone could do this?
I don't think so. Not at the moment, nah.
For me, one that springs to mind is when you're setting a wallpaper. So when you go to set a wallpaper and it shows you the preview of the wallpaper and it's got like the time as if it's your lock screen, I'd love there to be an option where you could see like a home screen preview. So it shows you what your wallpaper looks like with all your apps on top of it.
Oh, yeah.
Because what happens is I've so many times is I go obtain like high quality photos and stuff. I was like, oh, that'd be a mad wallpaper. And I then set it and I'm like, oh no, it's way too busy with all the icons. I actually have to set it to actually see what it looks like.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean, because they only show you from a lock screen perspective. Yeah. So I'd love, a home screen preview. So
actually, yeah. And now thinking about it, the thing I would change is what I said before about the swiping left and right. I wish I could maybe choose what I want those to be. Sorry about that. So maybe that. And the one other thing which I've just noticed now, which does bug me, and you maybe have to change this, I just don't know, is on your lock screen, the colour of the date and the time is always white.
It's not though.
Can you change that?
Okay, if you go into the Apple wallpapers that come with the phone, there's the ones that are like the leaves and stuff with like a full white background, and that actually changes the time and that to black.
And then I could change it from there and it would stay black?
No, it's sort of like dependent on... It's almost like if you have a really bright background, it'll automatically detect that and then change it, but there's no way of telling it to...
Because I've got one now which is quite white. It's like a light grey, so it's hard to see it, but it doesn't change, and I can't tell it to change it to black. I think
it might be more of a, not so much light colours, but more of a the amount of actual white.
Yeah,
so that's kind of what I think it is.
I wish you could change the colour of that time to suit what you like it to look like against the background.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. That makes sense. All right, so iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, we're going to give some brief thoughts on it. This is the big item that everyone was talking about just recently released. People are still waiting to get theirs, in some cases, particularly with Jet Black being Jet Black and Black being the most popular color options. That was the big part of the announcement, was those two colors. Now, I recently went into both Perth Apple stores, got to check them out, had to play around with them. So physical design changes, the camera bump, I like it. The way that the aluminium body kind of like curves up and molds itself around, it feels like the camera is more part of the phone. Which is pretty cool, and I love the fact that they reposition the antenna lines. So you got the antenna line that runs straight across.
Yeah, you still across it. Yeah,
yeah, those I just never liked the look of them. So the fact that they've more subtly wrapped it around the side and across the top, particularly with both the black models, because they're almost invisible on the. I'd say compared to the silver or rose gold or gold.
Yeah.
And the new home button, which I'd love to get your thoughts on. So for anyone that doesn't realize, it's not an actual physical button that you press, rather it's a it uses the Taptic engine to give you like the vibration feedback so it's almost like simulating a button press. Now you can set the strength of this vibration, so it can be lighter or it can be heavier. Now this is purely, or in my mind anyway, their way to make the phone that waterproof, because there's no actual moving part. That's the whole reason behind it. Yeah. Now, I tried it out. I actually first tried it out in a Telstra store, and I don't know if they somehow turned it off or something, but it didn't feel like I thought it would. And I was like, okay. So I went over to the Apple store and I tried it out, and it worked well. I was like, yeah, this is cool. I love the fact that when I double clicked on it to go into multitasking to kind of switch between apps, it felt quicker, and it didn't feel like it was, because it wasn't a physical press in, it was actual less exertion on your thumb.
Yeah. As tiring as that is. Yeah.
but I think it's more because I do it all the time. I feel like that I was going to like break the button or somehow when it's a physical button, but when it's this way and it's purely just vibration and stuff, it feels a bit quicker. So your wife has one. Have you tried it out?
I have, but like I said, only briefly. I've only briefly tried it, but like my first reaction wasn't great on the button.
Yeah. How much vibration was it set? When she set it up?
A fair bit, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, again, I haven't looked at it, so I didn't realize you could change anything like that. At first, I didn't like it, but then I think it's a thing you've got to actually own and use it for a bit, rather than just a one-off use to have a true opinion on something like that, if you know what I mean. I
think from what I've seen online, there's a lot of people say that after a week they're just pretty much completely used to it.
Because I do like the feel of an actual button. Though the one thing I could see which could be good about it is, like, this is my third iPhone now. I had the 4, then the 5S, and now this is the 6S that I've got. I've never broken a phone as such, but my 5S, I think it was, the button stuffed up.
Yep.
I feel like I look after my stuff pretty damn well, so I know a lot of people with the buttons have stuffed up, so I don't know if that's a bit of a flaw in the iPhones. I don't know if you've heard of that happening as well, where the button,
I think people's thumbs are just too heavy. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I said I think people's thumbs are just too heavy.
And it could be that, I don't know. But this may fix that.
Yeah.
This may be another thing that it's not another mechanical part to break.
That is actually very true, because a lot of reports from Apple stores and actual statistical data is people replacing and returning phones because they've broken the home button.
Exactly.
And as you said,
I could be pressing it too hard. I don't know.
By doing this, it's hopefully eliminating that fact.
And you got to remember, like, it's the only button that's on the phone, so it does pretty well, apart from the side ones. But the main button that you use for everything, so it is getting a fair workout.
Yeah, that is true. Now, quickly, I'm going to touch on the actual 7 Plus camera after this because that's a big one. But funnily enough, just to let Nick know, assuming he listens to this afterwards, that we were talking about how the focus was on black, and then there's plenty of people that like rose gold and gold, and then we're saying, well, what's going to happen to silver? Is that just going to be the least popular one? And I have word that a friend of mine just got his 7 Plus and he ordered the silver one. So
nice.
At least one silver 7 Plus has made it through.
I would sacrifice the rose gold or gold any day for the silver. I'm actually not a fan of the rose gold. I think it's a weird colour choice.
It's more of a feminine market. I like how they pulled it off. In terms of something that's technically pink in some way, it's actually the most elegant way of doing it. I guess so. Yeah.
I think for me, I'd rather pink. I'd rather it be pink. I know what you mean. It's not elegant, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's
that's a personal preference.
Different strokes
silver
for different folks. So yeah. So anything else to kind of talk about your brief interaction with the 7?
Not really, to tell you the truth, because I've done the iOS update as well. It's not that much different, really.
And here's the thing: this goes to prove that the 7 isn't actually that much different to the 6S, essentially. No. But they've just, the choices that they made and how they marketed it resulted in, at least currently the sales are pretty strong, because everyone thought they were going to slump because this was going to be hardly be different. It'd almost be like 6SS sort of thing. But the colours, the jet black and the black, really drove it home. That's what people were going crazy over, because everyone's wanted a black iPhone, and it really goes to show the influence of aesthetics. Particularly, say, when we talking about Apple Watch and that, they give you so many options, and it's really more of a fashion thing as well as being tech. So that's pretty cool.
And as everyone says about, like, there was a lot of complaints that it just looks like the same phone. They haven't even changed it. I feel that that's a bit of an unwinnable battle, because if something looks awesome, like, it looks great right now, it doesn't look outdated yet, I don't think. And if they changed it, then everyone complains, oh, it doesn't look as good as the old one.
Yeah.
But then they don't change it, and everyone complains they should have, it's an unwinnable battle.
Well, here's the thing. The Galaxy S7 is almost unchanged from the S6 in design.
Okay.
And that's like it's the same thing. They've created a design that customers love. So
it's comfortable to hold. Yeah.
Yeah. So they've upgraded, like with the iPhone, upgrade the internals, better camera and all that. But if it's comfortable to hold and everything, why are you going to stuff around with it too much?
Yeah. If you make drastic changes, that's where you will sometimes lose people who love your product already by making drastic changes.
All right. So Apple Watch 2, I also went around to these couple of stores, as I said, and I was actually more interested in that purely because I don't have one. Mm-hmm. I tried on the space grey aluminium with the black nylon band, because Nick's got a nylon band and the newer band for the Apple Watch, particularly in the cheaper range, and feels comfortable, feels really nice. Got to have a play around with it. This was a Series 2, so from what I've seen of the first version of the Apple Watch, the Series 2 definitely felt more fluid, and it was brighter and all that sort of thing. Obviously, I didn't get to test out the waterproofing aspect of it, but
just take a drink in there with you, just
be like, oh yeah, I'm going down the River Rapids, and you're just like shaking the so that was cool to see. I took a whole bunch of photos, checked out the other nylon bands in real life, got to see the edition, so the ceramic Apple Watch special edition one. That was pretty crazy. Okay, first thing, I wouldn't buy it, but it's a much more affordable price point in compared to the first version of the edition, which was pure gold and just crazy price. So this one is cool because it literally looks like the opposite of jet black. So it's like high gloss white as opposed to high gloss black. And what I'm hoping is that then with the next release, Apple Watch 3, that the edition they release at that time is another material. So like the material will change each year, which will be awesome. So that was pretty cool. So Apple Watch, I know that you sort of asked me a few questions about it. You're probably not entirely know exactly what you could use it for. Just on what you've seen and your general hunch, do you think that you would ever get one, or you kind of want to see it a bit more.
To be honest, I've actually never seen one in real life, to be brutally honest. But I love the idea of it. Like, I never thought I'd have a use for a smartwatch, but one of the guys at works has a smartwatch, but for Android.
Yeah.
And he almost sold it to me, just some of the stuff he can do on it. It's kind of like, man, I'd love to get an Apple Watch now, but
Yeah.
it is the price that completely pushes me out of the market. It's way unaffordable for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be nice.
I mean, it is good that they did bring because they released the Series 2, and they've the original watch now has a faster chip in it, and it's called the Series 1. And essentially the Series 1 is a more comfortable price point, so it starts at $399, considering that they originally were more in the 500 era level. It is good that they've kind of sort of realized, okay, we kind of got to drop the price a bit for the entry level models.
Yeah.
And then once it gets higher and higher above that, it's purely like fashion. So the actual watch itself runs the same, but it's more like the materials it's made of. If you go to the stainless steel body, I mean, that's premium. You go to like the full metal buckles and the Milanese loop bands, and it's all just like the cost is for the fashion aspect of it. Yeah, it's real high class. So they've really covered all bases for it.
Yeah, but on the cost of it, because the same guy who showed me the Android watch, he's actually now ordered the iPhone 7 Plus. He's got one of those coming. Mm-hmm. And he's upgrading to a Apple Watch as well, so he's doing the full upgrade.
Yep.
And he had a pretty big complaint, actually, and he showed me, and I do actually have to agree with him. The bands are very, like, even the base model bands are quite pricey if you're to buy another one. I think they start around 200 and something just for the band. Is that right?
No, in the sense that if you buy a sport band, it's more like $70.
Oh, is it? Maybe it was the base bands that he was looking at.
Yeah, because when you get into the leather ones and stuff like that, yeah. I remember originally seeing when the Apple Watch first came out, I'm like, oh, why would I pay over $500 just for a band sort of thing?
Yeah.
But if you think about it in the sense of when you go into a jewelry shop and you see all the different ranges of watches there, people easily spend hundreds of dollars on a fancy watch. So I kind of see it like that. It's like if you want the base level model with like the basic sport band on it or the nylon band, they still look great, but it's a lot lower, yeah. So,
but the big complaint he did have, so is he wanted, I can't remember the exact scenario now, but he wanted his watch to be a certain color, but then he wanted the band to be a certain color, and the band that he wanted didn't come as a base.
As the configuration,
colour, if you know what I mean. Yep. So say it comes with the black leather band standard. He wanted it didn't come with the black. It comes with the brown standard, I think.
Yeah.
He wants the black one.
So he has to pay for it, yeah.
You have to buy the standard and then buy the band separately.
Yeah.
Which I can see why they do it, because they're not going to sit there and pack a million different options and then get stuck with X ones or whatever. But the problem was on the site, it has an option to say, create your watch. And they've created this awesome bit where you scroll through, choose the watch you like, scroll through all the bands, choose the band, choose faces and all this sort of stuff. And then at the end of it, so you've done all this and there's not even an option to say, like, buy now. Even if they did then go, okay, well, that's going to cost you this much to get that watch. Does that make sense?
I wonder if it wasn't available at the time.
Maybe.
Because
I
you
don't
should be able to do that. Yeah.
Because he did do it in front of me. He goes, it's crazy. You go and you spend all this time and then you've got to still go back into the store and find all those items.
Yeah, okay, I get you.
Separately, yeah. So I don't know, that may get fixed.
They may have changed it, yeah.
Yeah, but it was just a bit of a site flaw, because it's kind of like, why have this build your custom watch and then not even have an option of, I'll buy it, sort of thing.
Yeah. That's a fair enough complaint. All right, I want to move on to a new segment called the water cooler. So this is major Apple-related talking points, just kind of like you do at work, stand around the water cooler and you're talking about whatever's happening. A big one, which we're going to get into right now, is the headphone jack removal. Okay, so are you for or against the removal of the headphone jack?
Well, I have been completely against since I heard about it. But I don't know, I think I've had a tiny bit of a revelation or whatever the word is since my wife has got it.
Yep.
I don't think I'm as against it as I was.
Yeah. I think it's because it's something that's been used for so long and everyone has depended on it that by taking it out and the idea of having wireless,
It is, yeah.
or just using Lightning, AirPods that come with it. I think everyone started freaking out and bagging it and that. But I mean, the fact that they actually put the adapter in with the iPhone, I think is
that's the bit that made
cool.
it okay.
Yeah.
If they didn't do that, I still would be quite against it because, like, I use my phone every day in my car to listen to podcasts through an auxiliary cable. So for me, that would have been a bit of quite an annoyance.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean because not everyone has Bluetooth in their car and stuff like that. It's just a thing that Apple has done well in the past where they've made a major change in something in the industry, and everyone's hated it first, and then it's actually turned out for the better. So I am very confident that the opposition, Samsung and the like, will eventually remove the headphone jack, whether it's before the next model or after that, I reckon for sure.
Oh, it is a way. It is a thing that happens. You on a console you get wireless controllers. You don't go back to not having wireless controllers once you've had wireless controllers. So once people start getting wireless headphones, why would you go back to wired headphones? Sort of thing.
Do you have any, or like, would you, if you had the 7, would you want to get your own like over the head Bluetooth headphones or anything like that, like your Beats and that sort of thing, or are you kind of more just stick with the Lightning earpods?
I think so. I don't know if the earpods would be for me. I don't know. I tend to only wear one, so maybe they might be helpful in that way. That's kind of what sold me on it. Is I was sort of thinking everyone's saying you can't just plug any old headphones into it, but I've had my phone for years and I've just used the same headphones the whole time. So once you've got a set of headphones, you don't tend to keep buying more headphones.
So you don't think that if you had it that you would use the Lightning earpod, like the actual wired ones that come with it?
Oh, no, I would use those, sorry.
Yeah,
so that's what I sort of think. I would get those, so I probably wouldn't have a need to go and buy Bluetooth ones.
Yeah.
Because at the moment it is new technology, so again, price for me is quite a thing. I've got a baby in that now, so those AirPods are quite out of my price range for how often I use them, I think.
Yeah. I mean,
don't know.
So speaking about AirPods, what's your general thoughts on it? I mean, it is, as you said, it's a newer thing, particularly that they're separate from each other. I mean, there's been companies that have already released accessories. It's like a little clip-on connection between the two that hangs around the back of your neck.
Yeah.
I love the tech that they put into the AirPods. It's not purely just a wireless connection. You connect them once and it automatically is connected across all your Apple devices. You don't have to set it up again.
Cool.
If you take it out one ear, it puts both the left and right of the audio into one ear.
It's awesome technology.
Yeah, if you double tap it, it activates Siri. Like you actually just double. So it's got the microphone and everything in it.
Yeah.
My general thought is I just like the fact that, okay, sure, it looks like AirPods with the wires cut off, but of any of the type of these wireless earbuds that you can get, these are easily A, the most visible, and B, if you drop them, because they got the sort of extension, like the stick on it, that'd be much easier to find and pick up. Because some of the others, like the Samsung version, is literally just like a little black sort of circular bit that fits in your ear, and if you drop those, can you imagine dropping those on the bottom of your car floor or something, you would just never get them back.
It's one of those things, you don't want them to be too big, because then it's sort of obvious you got this big thing on the side of your head sort of thing. But you don't want them too small, because as well, like, I wear them quite a bit when I walk to town at lunch and things, and people would be trying to talk to you and have no idea that you've got headphones in. You'd have to go through that constant, you know what I mean, telling people.
It's like, hey, I'm rocking this in-ear tech.
I think they're good, and I think it was Nick that said it in the last episode that everyone's going on about, oh, what if I lose them? What if I lose them?
If you're worried about that,
are you not going to notice you've dropped your headphone? That if you have spent $200 on it, I think you're going to be a bit more wary.
Cautious,
like women wear earrings that are worth way more than that every day. Do you know?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. Like, I don't go in fear of losing my iPhone. Like, I sort of know where it is.
Yeah. All right. So quickly, moving on to the 7 Plus with the dual cameras, the portrait mode. You can it creates a bokeh effect. So basically the foreground in focus and the background like nicely blurred out like you get with a digital SLR. So the cool thing about this is when it was shown, it looked like a portrait mode that was only for actual portraits, so human faces. But it's confirmed that it actually works on inanimate objects, so it's great for product photography. Cool. And that sort of thing. The actual update itself is yet to come out to the public, but that's due very soon. We have waterproofing, so they've really pushed waterproofing this time for the iPhone 7. Naturally, like Apple do, they kind of understate it. They don't sort of say that it's better than it actually is. But the thing is that with some tests online, the waterproofing has been much more incredible than the actual rating that they've given it. Like they've had people that have put the latest Galaxy and the iPhone 7 down into 35-foot depth of water for 10-15 minutes or whatever, and they pull it up and the iPhone was fine and the Galaxy had died, and it was crazy.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool. So
cool.
So just go sit in the pool with your iPhone, I guess.
I just like the waterproof. I don't want to essentially go swimming with a phone, but it'd just be cool to be able to get it out when it's raining if you just want to quickly check something and not be in fear of water getting in the parts, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so I want to move on to a section called Tools of the Trade. Now, Cody, if you just want to give us a rundown of your actual tech setup and the programs you use for your digital illustration.
So I'm actually still using quite an old iMac. So I'm on a 21.5-inch iMac, which is actually running Lion. So I'm still way back there. What's that, 2012, I think, when I looked it up? I think that was about. But I'm using Photoshop, InDesign, and Illustrator CS5. So I haven't done much updating for a while. And a Wacom Cintiq 12-inch tablet screen sort of thing.
No, it's I see that. You've just kind of particularly recently been really making good use of that.
I've been trying to do a bit more and get a bit more into it.
So, what's your actual just a quick rundown? What's the actual process of, say, one of the recent illustrations you've done? Where do you start and how does it end up?
It's pretty well all now just Photoshop. I use InDesign for the end layout, but pretty well Photoshop to sketch it out on the Cintiq, which is great because you're just drawing straight on the screen there. And then pretty well just put it into InDesign from then on and then lay it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's just...
I don't use Illustrator for much at all anymore. I could actually probably go without not even having it.
It's fair enough. I mean, it's a different format. It's vector,
Yeah, so, I use InDesign at work. I don't know if you're familiar with InDesign as much, but a lot of things I used to do in Illustrator now can be done in InDesign. So
they've done Adobe's done a real crossover of the vector tools and that sort of thing.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So you use a Wacom, would you ever be interested in like iPad Pro, Apple Pencil? Would you want to try one out? I mean, for you, I'd recommend going into an Apple store and trying one out.
And giving it a go, my boss at work has got an iPad. I'm not sure what it is, and he bought... don't know what the software's called. It's one of Apple's own ones, I think. So he's got the Apple Pencil, and it's awesome. It's kind of like a simplified version of Photoshop, but real cool. Not sure if you know what that would be called, the software.
Yes. That is...
something Draw, maybe? Or...
Yeah. Sorry, it's completely blanking on it, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's great. Like, it really can do all the stuff that I'm using Photoshop for. It pretty well does all that. Like, because the illustrations I do are just simple, I'm not using heaps of effects or anything like that. I'm really only using the basic in Photoshop at the moment to do these.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. It's pretty well just paintbrush and eraser. That's all I'm using.
I would, definitely love to get your feedback if you get into that sort of tech. So that's pretty cool. There.
And it's cheap. Like, I don't know, Photoshop nowadays, I don't know what it costs because you got to do it on a subscription. But I'm pretty sure he said this program's like $20 or under, maybe. Yeah,
I mean, you can just the drawing apps part. With tablets, obviously definitely iPads, and that has really taken off. It's just amazing because that's something I wanted to do since the start of iPad, but they're really making them more intuitive, easy to use, say with like Apple Pencil and the palm rejection, detects if your hand's on it so it doesn't draw on the screen. That's awesome.
And the pencil is pressure sensitive and everything, I think.
Oh yeah, it's I had a go of it. It's just really fluid, so it feels really nice.
So it's sort of come down to then it'd be great to be able to just go out and use it wherever rather than sitting at home, or even sitting in the lounge room or something would be great.
Yeah, definitely.
But I guess it comes down to what the outputs are. Are you sort of restricted to certain formats? I don't know.
No, you can share it in a whole bunch of export it. You can reopen it in Photoshop and that sort of thing. It's
cool.
The Creative Cloud apps are pretty cool.
Oh, I'd love that then. Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, so if anyone's interested in checking out Cody's work on Instagram, go to sadc_theclown. That's SADC_theclown. Pretty awesome work, man. Actually, very awesome work. Total series happening here. If people like kind of wacky illustrations, he's done some different takes on Pokemon, real like detailed and nice yin-yang style. Definitely check it out. I love it. I want him to make a sticker pack. So
yeah, cheers. I'm keen. Yeah, and I'm trying to do a bit more of it now. So there should be a constant flow of stuff if you come and subscribe. Come and follow.
No worries. I'll be definitely keen to get you back for a future episode if you get to try out other drawing apps and that sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. We're just going to finish off with a few edible extras in the news. It's been out there that Apple have been apparently doing prototype testing on the Siri speaker, which I spoke about with Nick in a previous episode. Definitely give you more news on that when it comes around, but the fact that they're actually working on it and it exists essentially is awesome. There's going to be spoken editions of iTunes content coming, so an actual like the text, it's like text to voice sort of technology. So it's almost like little podcast snippets of actual articles and that sort of thing, but through iTunes.
Oh, wow.
So, that'll be interesting to hear. Yeah, it's reported that the 7 Plus is actually outselling the 7. The dual cameras being a big one, I reckon, yeah. But it's suggested that by analysts that they don't think overall it'll surpass the 6S sales. But the fact that it is strong is a good sign considering all the analysts prior to the launch were saying, Apple's doomed and all this doom and gloom, which it definitely turned out not to be the case, which is great. And finally, we have Apple may be interested in the purchase of Twitter. It's pretty big news. Two that are rumoured to be potential buyers is Google, obviously, and Salesforce. So, yeah, I mean, it's a pretty big one. So, I know that you don't use Twitter yourself, but I use it for tech news and that. But, Microsoft purchased LinkedIn not too long ago. LinkedIn's small on Twitter, but, it'll be interesting to see who gets it, whether they rebrand it, whatever happens, how they integrate it. It'd be pretty interesting.
Feels like it sort of fits with Apple. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it'd be out of place for them to own that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think now, since they're kind of like absorbing all these different features into iMessage and that sort of thing, you can imagine just like a almost tweeting being built into iMessage, which would be pretty cool. And that wraps up a cool episode. Special guest, first time without Nick, got my friend Cody on board. It's great for a chat. Just love to thank you for being involved in this one.
Not a problem.
Oh, yeah, cheers, man. Definitely recommend people to check out sadc_theclown on Instagram. And speaking of Instagram, as we mentioned, Apple Slice Podcast. You can follow us there. And, of course, Twitter with Apple Slice AU and Facebook, which is facebook.com/Apple Slice Podcast. And you can also search us on iTunes or your favourite podcast player. So, is there anything else you'd like to add, or is...
No, that's a bit out. That's about it, man. Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been good.
Cool. No worries. So, this is the first time that we've, first time I've recorded a podcast with someone in the same town. So that's it's pretty cool. No lag to deal with. It's always always a good thing. And we can expect Nick back in the next episode. And of course, we like to bring in guests every now and then. So I'd love to have you back in the future.
Excellent. Yeah, sounds good, man. Anytime.
No worries. I'll catch you later.
All right, dude. Gotcha.
Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast Network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.